What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all are healthy and well. Today we'll be reacting to driving in Germany versus the USA. This surprised us. So I don't know if this is coming from an American or a German's perspective, but I'm really excited to check this video out. This was highly recommended by my lovely supporters. Thank you so much. Let's jump right into this, man. I'm not wasting no time. Original video link will be down below in the description. I'm curious, are they from the US or are they from Germany? You know? Let's see, man. Oh. USA?
Guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name's Ashton.
I'm Jonathan.
And along with our son Jack in the back seat, we're the Black Forest family. Now, we've lived in Germany for quite a number of years and driven a lot of miles and kilometers in this country. But we thought it'd be a really fun video today if we took you along for a ride and showed you the ins and outs of what it's like driving here in Germany.
And we'll also be driving in the United States to show you that there are some differences.
Okay, so first things first. I think that one of the most noticeable differences for both Jonathan and I when we first moved to Germany in regards to the drivers was just how disciplined they are, especially when it comes to the rule that you pass on the left and you drive on the right.
Oh yeah.
So in Germany and really most of Europe, driving on the left on the highway or the autobahn is used exclusively for passing. Although this is a rule for really every single country, Germany follows it all of the time. You'll notice when you're driving down the autobahn, you pass somebody, everybody moves over to the right as soon as possible to give right of way to the faster drivers from behind. So when you're driving down the autobahn, it is really a much less stressful experience knowing what everybody's going to be doing in front of you. You can anticipate other drivers very easily.
Yeah.
But you know, technically this is also illegal here in the United States. You're supposed to pass on the left and drive on the right, but I feel like it's a law that nobody at all pays attention to.
Yeah, and you know, unfortunately it leads to a lot of road rage.
I mean, well, fix my camera. I mean, well, look at the crap we got to deal with, bro. What am I supposed to do about it? Bro, we be having trucks in the fast lanes kicking up rocks and pebbles. I'm not riding behind them, bro. I have, trust me, I experienced it. I'm not doing it. So yes, Strac is cutting through here. I got to go, but best believe I'm getting back in the fast lane. But if I got to go around real quick, I got to, because yo, these trucks be bugging. They be like in the fast lanes, and I'm like, okay, first of all, the trucks have no business in the fast lanes. Seriously, they don't belong in the fast lanes. They're supposed to be on the right lanes. These two lanes right here, they're really supposed to be, okay, they got these two lanes, but over here, you're not supposed to be in them. You're not supposed to be in them. But when they do ride these lanes, it's like, okay, I understand. You got to go fast enough. Sometimes they be holding up the lines like you're in an 18-wheeler, bro. Move it. You got to move it then. And let alone like the stuff they be kicking up at the cars and stuff. It's such a fast pace. Those big behind vehicles do not need to be traveling at such high speeds. Seriously. So they need to move over like how this tow truck is, so that everybody can go over to the left, so that they don't have to fly past in the right lane and cut up in the right in the middle.
All pays attention to.
Yeah, and you know, unfortunately it leads to a lot of road rage and a lot of very aggressive driving, and it forces people to pass on the right, which is also illegal, so it really doesn't make any
sense. Hey, it's illegal to drive mad slow in the left lane, bro. Can we give those people a tickets? Like, my goodness, they need to be prisoned. I'm like, it don't make no sense. I be going 50 miles in the fast lane. Yo, we gotta go. They moving faster in the middle in the right lane. We gotta go. You know, and I don't road rage and I don't beat my horn, but I be, you know, like, what's going on? It better be something up ahead. Something up ahead better be making us go this slow.
Sense.
Word
in
up.
Germany, the stoplights are on your end of the intersection, not on the other side of the street. So honestly, for me, a lot of times it's actually hard to see what color the light is. Often you have to lean forward and look and kind of hold this position until you get the yellow and then the green light.
Yeah, and you know, the cars tend to be a little bit smaller in Europe anyway, which I feel like almost exaggerates this issue. When you're in a tiny car and you're right at the line of the intersection, you're really usually reaching your neck up to make sure that you can see it properly.
So in the United States, stoplights are wonderful. They are on the other side of the intersection, meaning I can just sit here comfortably, relaxed in my seat, and I can perfectly see whether they're red, yellow, or green.
Yeah, so I think if there's actually a ranking going on what Germany wins and what the United States wins at, I think largely for driving, it's much better in Germany, but this is the one thing about driving in the United States that, to me, it makes a lot of sense.
It's so much better. I wouldn't say that is the only thing that America does better with driving. It is also turning right on red.
Okay, yeah, fair. That's a fair point.
For example, right now the light is red. I just looked to my left to see if anybody's coming. There are quite a few cars coming, but when nobody's coming, I'm free to just continue on my journey, turn right and go. Look at that, the light is red. I am free and clear to go. Nobody's coming. I'm not crossing traffic. I'm not getting in anybody's way. Why is this not something that other countries pick up? It seems perfectly safe to me. Americans beware. You cannot turn right on red unless otherwise indicated. So if you come up to a red light, nobody's coming, you just...
You know what? It's like that in some areas in the U.S. You really got to pay attention and read the signs. Yeah. You know, and I'll be waiting in line and there'll be some cars beeping sometimes. And like nobody's ever beeped at me. I'm surprised because, you know, I'll be like, oh, they're going to beep at me thinking they could go right. But if you read the sign sometimes, they'd be like, do not turn on red. I'm like, oh. But most of the time you can. But like I'll be waiting in line and a lot of people be like blowing their horns. I'm like, yo, y'all got to read the sign, bro. Better read the sign. You in a rush to go nowhere. You going to have that ticket come through in the mail. You be pissed.
Have to sit and wait. All right, so next up on our list are the rules of the road. And in Germany, these rules are followed to the T.
Yeah, so not following the rules of the road will either get you a steep fine from the Polizei or a stern warning from the other drivers, whether it's honking or yelling at you or my personal favorite. Yeah, they'll be sure to let you know when you mess up.
So let's be honest, turn signals in the United States are optional and speed limits are just suggestions. And yeah, the left lane is often just a cruising lane. It's not a passing lane like it was originally intended.
Yeah, I'd like to think that there are some really great drivers in the United States, but to be honest, sometimes the rules are more or less just guidelines.
The code is more what you call guidelines.
Let's tell you something. There's a reason why we don't have an autobahn in the United States of America. We're going to leave it there. I'm not going to say too much.
So in Germany, it's very important to be observant and keep an eye out for speed cameras because they are often placed all throughout the city. In addition to like the fixed speed cameras, it is also possible that the police will have vans that they set on the side of the street, and those vans will have cameras inside of them. And they will also set out cameras randomly out on highways or roads, also connected to a van. And if you're speeding, they'll get a picture of you. That picture will come to you in the mail.
Ooh,
however,
gotcha.
in the United States, you kind of have to be like on spy mode all the time, looking out for cop cars, seeing if they're doing any radar shooting, because oftentimes, especially on the highway, they will pull off into a small little nook and sit there with their gun, or they're like wait on the other side of a hill waiting for you to...
Man, they bogus too because they hide. They purposely hide so you don't see them. That's illegal. Bro, they be hiding so you don't see them, and that is literally illegal. You can't do that. We have to be able to see you. We have to be able to see you.
Come back down the other side.
Or behind a building. There's always
Right.
somebody there. At
Yes.
least in your mind, you think there's somebody there.
Yeah, totally different, but yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, and then they'll basically chase you down, lights and sirens, give you a ticket.
I guess I was going about 65 tops.
7 miles an hour. And normally when I stop people, they pull onto the shoulder.
Oh, yeah. Take
Okay,
him to
so
prison.
don't get me wrong.
7
you
miles
can
is
definitely
crazy.
find SUVs and large vehicles in Germany. But in comparison to the United States, I would say that here they are far fewer and much harder to find.
Yeah, on average, the vehicles here are far smaller than the United States, and it's really offset by a lot of smart cars and compact sedans, things like that. And the car we're in right now, which is a wagon, is actually probably the most popular.
So we get it. Everything is bigger in the United States. The houses, the people to some extent, and the cars are definitely no exception.
Yeah, in the United States, they're often massive trucks, massive SUVs, and it's not just having a truck that's enough. Many people will modify the trucks, lift them, put bigger tires on them, all over the place. You'll see this everywhere.
Yeah, I grew up in the country, and
gosh.
very much having a giant pickup truck with big mud tires was definitely a status symbol.
What is that? That?
It's my ladder.
You bought something you can't get into or out of without a ladder?
It's very high up. Hammond, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's brilliant. Look at it.
So, yeah, and I mean, even now we're here in Kansas City. It's definitely not the country, but it's still the Midwest, and you're gonna see big pickup trucks everywhere you go.
All over the place, and full-size SUVs.
Okay, so I know it's a bit ironic with this next point because we're driving in a car, but actually driving in general, especially in large cities, is a lot less frequent as it is in the United States, because in Europe, cities are a lot more dense. It's much more common that if you drive to a large parking structure or a parking lot, and then you get out and walk to all of your destinations.
So as Ashton said, driving in Germany isn't really all that common when you're trying to go just place to place and do some shopping, especially in the city center. And for me, this is often a very stressful experience, and I would rather just go by bike or by foot or with public transit, because the parking spaces are often very hard to come by.
Right.
On the weekends, the parking structures are usually filled. You have to stop and wait outside until somebody leaves, and then you can go in and try to find that spot. So there's one thing you need to be aware of in Germany, and that's the roads are very, very tight. Oh my goodness. It's very common that roads will be one way. They barely fit the width of a car, and also people drive mirror to mirror at 30 kilometers an hour through villages frequently. It can often...
You know, when you come to the suburb areas, it's very spacious. But once you start going, like, I don't know how to explain it. A little closer to the city, I would say. Once you get a little closer to the city, I noticed that those roads, they become so narrow to the point where it's like, oh my goodness. And they're one-way streets, by the way. One-way streets. They be so narrow that they have to be one-way streets. So we have the narrow ones that are both ways. And then we have the streets that are so small, yet people are still able to park their cars there. You know, their car halfway on the sidewalk, halfway on the street. That's ridiculous. I'm not doing that to my Honda. You think my Honda could do that? I'm scraping, but I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. You lost your mind. That whole car is in the street. All tires forward are placed on the street, on the surface. Well, I don't care. You know, but they make it one way because only one car can really fit through that way. Two cars come, not gonna be looking at each other like this. I don't know what to tell you, man. Excuse my fingers. My fingers are messed up, man. My fingers be jacked up, guys. Be jacked up. But yeah, man, we definitely got these narrow roads as well. Yeah.
At 30 kilometers an hour through villages frequently. It can often be a very stressful experience when you're not used to it.
Yeah, I actually would think that by American standards, oftentimes roads that are two ways for two vehicles, these roads would be considered a one-way street in the United States. Yeah, so the streets in the United States, they're massive.
Yeah, and as you've seen, the vehicles in the United States are often quite large, so there is plenty of space to navigate them around. Okay, so I'm a car guy. One of my favorite things about being here and driving is the lack of speed limits on the autobahn. I know not all of the autobahn is unlimited. A good percentage of it does have an actual speed limit, but for gearheads or people like me who love cars and driving, it is quite the experience.
Yeah, and as a passenger, I can only say it is quite something to get used to when he floors it.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I don't think that's ever gonna get old. Yeah, but that brings up another interesting point about speed limits. Germany and all European countries have default speed limits. There are not always speed limits posted where you are. When you approach a city, for example, you'll see the city limit sign, and that city limit sign automatically means you need to be driving 50 kilometers an hour. So it's not like the United States where you'll actually see posted speed limits. Germany, you need to know what they are before you get there. And if you don't know, do what I do and just follow the person in front of you because they are probably following the rules, but make sure they have a German license plate.
However, speed limits...
That's high IQ. That's something I would do. It's how, like, you know, figure it out, get the hang of it.
United States are actually quite conservative. particularly on the highway. In Illinois, where I'm from, the speed limit is 70 miles an hour, but here in Kansas, it's 75 miles an hour. But even with that addition, it's really only about 120 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, which really isn't very fast. And I think the other important point here is, like, Germany, for example, has default speed limits, whether you're on a highway, city, rural area, and in the United States, you need to follow the posted speed limits because they can vary greatly wherever you are. However, if you're on the highway and nothing's posted, it is a default 55 miles an hour. So, as a cyclist...
What? 55 miles. 55? Ooh, 55. 55? You can't even get on the highway going 55. 55? Nah. I mean, it probably depends some states and some areas for real, because they be tweaking. On the highway, 65. I mean, 65? We on the interstate. 65? I'm going 95. It'd be so ridiculous. I'm like, how? The cars in front of me are going faster than me. I'm going 95. And it is about 6 cars in this line, and somebody all the way up there. How fast they going? How fast are they going? Something ain't right. And the people in the right lane going just as fast. We all race. I'm like, what is going on, bro? It don't make no sense. Oh my goodness.
and nothing's posted is a default 55 miles an hour.
55.
So
yeah.
as a cyclist, one of the things I love most about being here is how safe I feel on a bicycle. There are often bike lanes scattered all through
That's
cities.
a big bike lane. That is a really big bike lane. Look, in the US, you probably get about... Look, you see how thick this is? That's your bike lane right there. That's your bike lane right there. That's about how much room you gonna have on the shoulder from the street. This width.
There's separated bike lanes really all over the place. I know it's not really on the same level as the Netherlands, but for our American viewers, Germany is...
Look at that big bike lane. That's a big bike lane. And then we still got enough road for the car. Go this way, go that way. That's nice. That's nice. And then still got the sidewalk. Y'all doing things right over there. You see, y'all thinking for everyone. Biking is more like normal. It's so abnormal out here. The only people I see biking are little kids in developments. Everybody else got mopeds, little bicycle, like the electric bicycles, electric scooters, electric skateboards. Everything electric now. Nobody doing nothing manually no more. Damn. Nobody doing nothing manually no more. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. You know, they taking the fun out of certain things. Self-driving cars and all that, man, I don't know. Like, exercise, especially, man, I used to work around the corner from the house, ride my bike or walk. This is before I had a car, ride my bike or walk. Cool, you save money, and it's a shortcut, and you gotta deal with no traffic rules. You ain't gotta deal with no traffic, no drivers on the road. You could cut through the way. I used to cut through the woods and go through this and which way. And come on, bro, we don't see none of that in the U.S. The only time we see people on their bikes or walking is because they have to. They have to, man. They have to. They don't want to. Because 90% of the time you look at them, they miserable. They got a miserable look in their face like they don't want to do it. But they have to. And I hope they get cars. I really do. Especially in the U.S., a lot of things be far distance. Like, we don't got things close to each other, depending on the state. Oh, man. All that walking and stuff is crazy. But ride a bike. You can get around on it, man. This goes to show that people exercise more. People definitely be biking more out there in Germany. We don't have, like, okay, you see, look at this line right here, and then look at where my pointer is. This is the whole bike lane. So you have all this to ride in. It's not really a lane. It's crazy.
Better in regards to bicycle safety and infrastructure.
And
Very
actually,
safe.
like we said in our cycling in Germany video, one of the things that I actually find that makes me feel so much safer on the road is that I think that German drivers legitimately look for bicycles, at least a lot more frequently. Especially if they're turning left or right on a road, they're going to look to see if a bicycle is coming before they make that turn.
Yeah,
Of
they're
course,
always
yeah.
going to be anticipating a bicycle there. The United States, although they are building some bicycle infrastructure, they have a long way to go. There are often bike lanes like sharrows, basically, that are painted on the road that they should be sectioning bicycles and vehicles. However, from my experience while riding and driving, people just use them as like suggested turning lanes, which is not what they're there for. But
little big, hey. Look, I thought that was the bike lane right there. Bro, this is crazy. They got no bike lane. They don't care. So you gotta just ride in the street and people gotta know, like, okay, move over. And everybody gets the hint because you see one driver swerve out, then you see the other one swerve out. Then you know it's your turn to swerve out because you see the biker. But what does that mean for this lane? That means the people in this lane need to be aware. They might have to swerve or be a little bit more aware because people are going to be swerving close to their lane. I hope not in their lane. But hey, if they trying to dodge the biker, you will. And then what about this lane? Like, it's just going to screw up everybody. Put a bike lane. My goodness. You see what that one little thing could do to everyone? Oh, it's nothing but madness.
Long way to go, I would say.
Okay, so probably one of the other things that we've really noticed as Americans driving in Germany is this situation right here. We're pulling up to a four-way stop, and in Germany, rather than having a stop sign, it is rechts vor links. So the person on the right has right of way. Now, of course, in Germany as well, they have a lot of roundabouts. Every once in a while, you will see a stop sign. But this etiquette of approaching an intersection and always giving right of way to the person on the right was actually something that was quite new for us.
So, United States has...
Hey, I kind of mess with the whole roundabout thing better than having street lights. You know, I notice in other countries there's more so roundabouts and stuff. Like, I kind of like that, you know? Get things flowing. Well, keep things flowing, and don't nobody got to stop for no lights or anything. And it's not like you're in the way of each other. Like, the way they be making these things and putting them together so that it works out in everyone's favor is amazing. Like, it doesn't slow down your day at all. The most you got to do is yield for a second.
Four-way stops or three-way stops with stop signs, and the way these work is you race to the stop sign, the first person there gets to go first. That's basically it.
Yeah, I'd like to say that driver's education taught us that there is an etiquette to this, but in reality, it's usually either whoever is there first gets to go first, or what happens more frequently, the person with the bigger car forces their way into first place.
Yeah,
I wish they would, bro. Nobody doing that to me because I'm going too then.
Will almost always have stop signs. Like, that's an important thing to point out too.
Okay, so one of the other differences as an American who now drives in Germany, I was actually really surprised to learn that the driving age in Germany is 18. I don't know, I guess I just have kind of found that the whole getting your driver's license and your first car, it's such a rite of passage in the United States, but it doesn't really seem to hold the same value here in Germany.
So in the United States, driving ages are quite young, actually. I was 14 years old and I had a driving permit, meaning I could drive around with my mom. But 14 years old. And when I turned 16, I was allowed to get a driver's license and drive around by myself.
Get out, boys! I'm gonna RUNNOFT!
Yeah, it's actually kind of scary. I feel like when I was 16 and I got my driver's license, I felt so old. But now that I'm an adult and I see these just children that look like babies behind the wheel, it's quite alarming as a parent.
Oh, yeah, looking back on it now, like, I can't believe 14 years old is legal. I sound like such a parent right now.
Okay, so last but not least, I think we should actually talk about the differences in getting a driver's license and the requirements that go along with it here in Germany. As you probably could imagine if you're an American watching this video, it's a lot more difficult to get your driver's license in Germany.
It requires a significant amount of hours driving around with an instructor. You have a written test. You even need to learn CPR.
I had to just drive around for 6 hours. I did 3 consecutive classes, 2 hours each, driving around, parallel parking, doing K turns, U turns, all that. Now, is it more hours than that?
Or you need to learn first aid.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, you actually take driving lessons with a certified driving instructor from a third-party company in Germany. You'll see them driving all around town in their like well-marked vehicles, but they're actually like a separate company and separate entity altogether. So I really think it's actually quite ironic because my experience of getting a driver's license in the United States was totally different from Jonathan's. And I, in a weird way, think that really sums up what it's actually like to drive in the United States.
I got my license. I was like, yep, that's how I know they give anybody a license. I was always a great driver and everything, but like I did two things. I pulled out, I pulled in. Literally, I pulled out of the driver's school, and then like not even 5 seconds later, I ended up pulling into this small lot. I did a parallel park. I did a K-turn. I pulled out. I pulled back into the lot. I answered 3 questions because I studied the book, baby. Just in case. But you study the book and for real know. So when you pass the test, you really know the rules of the road. Not just guessing or cheating on it. Oh, it's hard to cheat on it, by the way. They staring at you, but that's all I did. That's all I did. And he's like, oh, congratulations, you passed. And my driver instructor was like, you can sit passenger seat. And he drove us home. Like, I got my license so easy, bro. And I passed the test with a 98. See, I failed the first 2 times. I failed the first time in school with a 78. And the lowest grade to start, well, was it the lowest grade to start? I think the lowest grade to actually pass was an 80. The lowest grade to actually pass with was an 80. I got a 75 because I did not study in school. But I was like 16 at that time. I wasn't taking this serious. Next time, 98, baby. 98. 2 times I got a 78. And then when I really studied, 98, man. It's so easy, though. And I didn't even study. And I still got a 78. A lot of it's like common sense questions. Some of them get a little technical when you start asking about drinking percentages and stuff. That's why it is good to study the book and everything seriously, man.
Weird way to think that really sums up what it's actually
I'm
like
what's
to
the lowest grade started? I'm like, wait, the lowest grade started. It's an 80. I got one question. That's crazy.
drive in the United States. For me, I was required to take a driving test that was part of our school curriculum. I had to log an entire semester of driving hours with like a driving professional. I then had to sit for an exam that I had to pass before I could even go to the Department of Motor Vehicles to get my driver's license.
Yeah, all I had to do was, because I had the permit when I was 14 years old, I had a certain number of hours I had to do with my mom in the car, and then I got to go to the DMV. I had to take a vision test, and I had a written test that was very easy that I could take over and over again the same day if I failed it, and I had to drive around the block with an instructor in the car. Really, really easy.
You know, in all honesty, I actually think this is a pretty decent example, I think, of why maybe American drivers just, quite frankly, aren't as good of drivers as German drivers, because there really isn't a standard across the country on education requirements.
Facts. They're not held accountable as far as like education wise and actually driving. They're not held accountable. It's too lenient. The rules need to be a little bit more strict. The tests need to be harder. The driving test, everything. Yes. Because the way I was preparing myself and studying, boy, I was studying like I was about to go work for NASA. Man, yeah. If you want to drive, pass the test. For real. Let's see how bad they want to drive, because there's some people that truly got their license, and I'm like, how did you get your license, bro? Like, anybody can get their license in the U.S., seriously. And that right there is what makes up the madness. This is why we don't have an autobahn.
A standard across the country on education requirements.
You don't have to know how to drive to have a driver's license. That's the scariest thing.
Believe that. Shit, you know that. And at all.
Video, we hope that you found it to be kind of fun to just see what the differences between driving in Germany and driving here in the United States exactly are.
Yep, and if you liked what you saw today, be sure to hit that thumbs up button.
And for more content from the Black Forest family, hit that subscribe button. So, until next time.
This Bob.
Excellent.
Cheers!
This was a great video. Original video link will be down below in the description. Guys, share your honest thoughts and experiences down below in the comment section. Educate a brother and share some personal stories with the world down below in the comments on, like, how was it driving in Germany versus the USA? What are some things that you think I will like? I know I'm going to love the autobahn, I know it has speed limit on some parts, but I'm going to, enjoy punching the vehicle. Basically, pushing it to its full potential. Well, at least trying. At least trying. That's if I don't let up on the gas. Hey, I gotta warm up to the feeling. You know, when I used to that over here in the U.S., I might let off the gas a little bit. Like, ooh, it's a little too much. But best believe I will do it before I leave. Do I need a license or do I have to sit passenger seat? Please let me know. I'm actually gonna do some research on that because if I visit, I want to go ahead and give it a shot. You know, I want to be able to drive around. But yet again, I need to know the rules of the road, and it's not that easy. Like in the U.S., I'm pretty sure anybody could get the rental vehicle as long as you are a certain age. I feel like, bro, as long as you are a certain age. Out there in Germany, they probably like, well, where's your German driver's license? Did you pass this? Did you do that? Did you do your hours? No. They get out of my face then. I feel like that's exactly how they gonna treat me. Please let me know in the comments. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications on, follow my Twitch, and subscribe to all my other YouTube channels down below in the description. I love you all so much. Stay safe, and I hope to catch you all in the next reaction video.